Millie Weaver reporting for Infowars.com. Some very pertinent information has come out about the Fort Lauderdale shooter, Esteban Santiago. Apparently, Santiago went to the FBI prior to the shooting and tried to warn them that he was under some kind of mind control. Now, it's interesting because we've seen several other shooters in the past have come out saying they were under mind control or some kind of psychological treatments or experimentation. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the statements that the FBI made regarding his interactions with them. According to the FBI, Santiago told federal authorities that U.S. intelligence agencies had gained control of his mind and were urging him to fight for the Islamic State terrorist group. While the report was initially alarming, it was soon clear that the young man's reported complaint was more of a cry for medical treatment than a matter meriting the attention of counter-terrorism officials. Well, apparently they were wrong on this, because this absolutely did merit the attention of counter-terrorism officials, because it led to the deaths and injuries of many innocent civilians. During the interview, Santiago appeared agitated and incoherent and made disjointed statements. I find this very interesting because why was he incoherent? Why was he making disjointed statements? Does this lead to a clue about his mental state? There's been several times we've seen either military service members or just regular Americans coming forward saying that they've been under some kind of mind control or hearing voices in their head, or they've been under some kind of experimental psychological treatment. And it seems as though a statement from Santiago's brother confirms that Santiago was under some kind of psychological treatment in Alaska. Was this psychological treatment using some kind of hypnotism or hypnotherapy? Because people underestimate the power of hypnosis. Right here, this Wikipedia article actually talks about how the majority of Americans are moderately subjective, meaning they're moderately hypnotizable, while 10% are very subjective, meaning they're extremely hypnotizable and can pretty much be told or commanded to do almost anything from a hypnotist.
Stare. Stare, stare, sleep.
All a psychiatrist would have to do is simply hand select those subjects that are highly subjective. Once you have a subject that's highly subjective and easily hypnotizable, you can then use them and work with them in these therapy sessions to then give them these trigger words later on at a different date, which could trigger them into doing something like committing a violent attack.
Let's talk about how to hypnotize somebody secretly.
Sirhan's lack of memory for the murder of Robert Kennedy was genuine, and it was established by both the defense and the prosecution before the trial.
Melanson became convinced that Sirhan's lack of memory is the result of being hypnotized and programmed to kill.
After 15 years of analyzing the evidence and interviewing experts and witnesses, the only logical conclusion in this case, for my mind, is that Sirhan was a programmed assassin, programmed to show up shooting at Robert Kennedy, and programmed not to remember.
Is it really possible to hypnotize someone to kill?
Remember, the goal with hypnosis is to bypass the conscious mind, the analytical mind, and get to the emotional mind.
Let's go ahead and take a look at this video I found where a hypnotist is just talking over a loudspeaker at a mall, and the people just walking around in the mall, their subconscious minds are picking up every word of it, even though their conscious mind is not. And what happens, well, you'll have to see for yourself. Take a look.
What you're hearing in the background is a public address announcement I've pre-recorded and played throughout the shopping centre. After about half an hour of absorbing it, they should be ready for their final message. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Palisades Mall. We hope that your shopping experience is an uplifting arm, and I'd like to bring to your pay attention some very special offers today. Details of our special offers can be found handily by the elevators, so why not come right arm up and see for yourselves. So all those customers wishing to reach up and grab this exciting opportunity should do so now.
We're walking around and we heard an announcement and all of a sudden we all raised our hands. It was weird.
Here's another one I found really interesting. It's with Howie Mandel, and he's on that America's Got Talent show when a hypnotist goes on and asks to hypnotize him. How he participates, the hypnotist does it off screen because there are the people out there that are extremely subjective and that would be adversely affected by that. So nonetheless, he writes him a note, and next thing you know, he's out like that.
Hold that, and then I'm going to ask you to, that's to you, read that out loud to yourself.
Go to sleep.
Shut up. This doesn't account for all terrorist attacks because, of course, we have to talk about the fact that, you know, we have these ISIS groups and these Islamic extremist terrorist groups out there, which in a sense they're under some kind of form of mind control because they've, you know, pretty much subscribed to a very violent form of religion.
Talk about what it is that is being tapped into by extremists that can entice them.
These bad boys themselves are trying to live up to a caricature that they've created for themselves. And they try to live that character role. And when you're sitting at home and you're watching these videos over and over and over, you reinforce to yourself this idea.
We have to really ask ourselves, were some of these terrorist attackers actually under mind control? And is this the subject that we should kind of be trying to explore and investigate rather than just always going right off into the mainstream media storyline of, you know, gun control? Should we ban guns? Should we keep guns? Because that's not really the issue here. The issue is what makes these people attack and commit these crimes, because it doesn't have to be a gun. We've seen it. It can be a van. It could be a knife. It could be pretty much a bomb, a rice cooker, anything. So this is Millie Weaver signing off for Infowars.com.